Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's 2026, our first video of the new year, and I'm here and excited to break down what to expect from Jada Toys and Storm Arena's Street Fighter lines in Q1 of 2026. There's a lot of moving pieces here. There's a lot of stuff scheduled to be released, and we're gonna maybe even see some head-to-head releases from both companies coming up in Q1 of 26. So we're going to mention some of the schedule changes that we're seeing and also touch on some of the early reviews and reveals that we've seen for some of these figures moving into the new year. So we're really excited for these releases. I'm hyped. I'm sure you're hyped. Street Fighter fans, we're going to be eating super good in 2026. But let's go ahead and jump into what we're expected to see released in Q1 from both companies. We're going to start with Jada Toys. Jada Toys is on the tail end of completing their Street Fighter 2 roster. We have just a handful of figures left. And in Q1 2026, we were expected to see 3 of maybe the most anticipated figures from that line to be released, with that being Akuma. Tons of hype around the Akuma figure, as well as their deluxe Balrog and E.Honda. So those are the 3 expected releases for Q1 of 2026, and we'll dive into those a little bit deeper here in just a second. But then we also have Storm Arena line, which they have been moving full steam ahead, and we have a few characters expected from them from their brand new Alpha line that started last year, including Dan and Charlie, as well as Sagat. Sagat was originally supposed to release at the end of 2025 here in the US, but it's looking, we're already in 2026. We haven't got any update on that. So Sagat is also going to be a Q1 2026 release for Storm Arena. And they've also, out of the blue, just announced some Player 2 con exclusives. And I'm imagining that's probably not the last of the con exclusives that we see out of Storm Arena for Q1 of this year. Now, we've also had some reveals for upcoming figures that won't be releasing in Q1, but should be releasing sometime later in the year. And from Jada Toys, we know that we have the big boys. We have Zangief and T-Hawk should be releasing sometime this year to fully complete that Street Fighter 2 roster. That will be amazing. It'll be awesome to have them all on the shelf. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And then we also have Storm Arena's Street Fighter Alpha line, who just continues to pump out the previews every event they attend. And we look like the next ones up are definitely going to be a Zangief, a Balrog. They've also previewed a Mika, but those were all early prototypes. So no saying when we might see those actually in hand, possibly in 2026. Maybe trailing into 2027 for some of those figures, but we'll see how that shakes out. But still, guys, tons of awesome reveals, releases, pre-orders are going to be happening this year, and I know you're as excited as I am. So as I mentioned before, we are seeing some of these potential releases and pre-order release dates shifting all over the place. No saying what that is due to. It could still be some of the tariff pains, could be some shipping, pains, things like that. But it seems like all of the pre-orders that we have seen go up for these figures end up getting pushed back a little bit, whether it be like a couple weeks, a month. Some of the Storm Arena ones last year, I think, got pushed back 2 months to get the Ryu in hand from Big Bad Toy Store. And again, this might just be a Big Bad Toy Store thing. I know that they're kind of notorious for that. It's happened to me for multiple figures I've ordered from them. So getting Jada stuff from a US retailer, I'm going to actually say that we probably will see those in retail spaces earlier than Big Bad Toy Store starts to ship them out. And then, of course, the Storm Arena stuff releases a month or 2 earlier from China, where you can order it, but you're going to be paying that import premium, where your figures are going to be costing $50 to $60 plus another 20 to 30 shipping. So if you're willing to pay the extra for the Storm Arena figures, you can get them on time and before Big Bad Toy Store can get it to you. Just as, you know, the Sagat, I have my Sagat already because I paid the premium price and got it weeks ago, but I'm still waiting on the Big Bad Toy Store one. Now, because of some of these shipping delays or whatever it is, delays to get these figures released and in hand, I think we might see some of these figures releasing at the same time. We might see the Sagat that was supposed to release end of last year and the Akuma that's supposed to release in January. We might see those release like the same time, early February, which will be kind of exciting, I guess. It's kind of fun to have both releasing at the same time, but of course that's going to bring up the competitive aspect. People are going to be comparing the figures and people are going to be, you know, choosing sides of which they think is a better figure, even though they aren't even the same character. But it's looking like that's a very real possibility, not only with the Sagat and Akuma, but with the Dan and Charlie from Storm Arena releasing later in Q1, could coincide and release around the same time as the E.Honda and the Balrog. So again, that would be really the first time that we have Jada and Storm releasing figures at the same time, where it's just going to fuel the fire of that direct competition. But hey, I think that's kind of fun. I'll be making reviews. I'll be making comparison videos. So for someone like myself who enjoys that kind of thing, I'm kind of looking forward to that. And plus, just, you know, more the merrier. Give me the more Street Fighter characters you can, and that's going to make me happy. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of these early reveals and reviews of these characters. There's a lot of points that I think we can touch on, a lot of great things that I want to mention. And so let's go ahead and break down some of these early reviews that we saw release. We're going to start with D-Amazing, one of my favorite channels, awesome reviewer, great figure posing. He is like just in an instant will pose a figure and it will be amazing. But so watching him mess around with these brand new Jada 1.5 articulated bodies is a real treat. I'm specifically the Balrog one. He really goes into detail about the brand new shoulder setup with that brand new sort of 180 butterfly joint there, which isn't technically, I think, a traditional butterfly. It's a ball socket that they engineered to just work really well and allow for tons of range in the shoulder, as well as like how the butterfly cut is on Balrog. It just is like hidden, seamless. It looks so nice and is just such a welcome addition for a character like Balrog, because then you can really get him into his little peekaboo boxing poses like this here. Just like so good. Really, really nice work on the engineering for Jada. I really like the trunks setup and the hips. On the Sagat, his hips were sitting kind of like oddly low from Jada Toys. So it's nice to see that they've improved that design a little bit here. But the sculpt, the character, the colors, the paint, everything on this Balrog is looking really, really nice. The posing looks amazing. Super excited for this one. Shout out to D-Amazing for getting this one super early. He's had this for like a couple months now, and the hype just continues to build on that one. He also has a really great Akuma review where he goes into detail about the brand new articulation, the upgrades in the sculpt, and you again, just watching him pose the figure and the ease of posing. I think his reviews really kind of show how nice the engineering on these newer Jada figures is. And so I'm excited about their 1.5 articulation body, because they just continue to prove on their engineering with every release. So good stuff out of D-Amazing. Shout out to these great reviews. We also had Unparalleled Universe. He just recently posted his Akuma review. We've also had Toy Migos post a Akuma review. Lots of reviews coming out that the Akuma figure just looks awesome. It's the aesthetic that I'm looking for. Like when I think of Akuma, this is the Akuma that comes to mind. This is sort of the style that I want him to be. So shout out to these early reviewers because they're getting me hyped for these figures. Like they look awesome. Great job, Jada, of continuously improving on your product. Every release just gets better and better. So, hey, shout out to them. I'm going to put links in the description for all those reviews. You can check them out for yourself. And we have another review from M.A.R.S, Mountain Arts Reviews. He does a lot of Street Fighter content, and he somehow got his hands on a very early, I believe, production sample of the E.Honda. E.Honda is still pretty far out as far as releases go. Nobody else has that figure in hand, but he somehow got a copy and did a really nice review on it. You can see that, again, the sculpt is just improved even more. The articulation looks fantastic. He looks beefy. He looks hefty. Again, just looks exactly how I want this E.Honda to look. His face sculpts also look improved from the early prototypes. The face sculpts look phenomenal. Like the paint application and the sculpt looks exactly how I want my E.Honda to look. His effect piece is so freaking cool. So if you haven't seen Mars's review for the E.Honda from Jada Toys, that's also linked in the description below. Go check that one out and tell me which of these Jada toys for Q1 2026 are you most excited for? Drop that in the comments. Now we have yet to see early reviews for the Dan and Charlie from Storm Arena, but there's plenty of great reviews out there for the Storm Arena Sagat. I want to shout out Richy Figs, who had a great one. M.A.R.S, Mountain Arts Reviews, had a really great nature review of the Sagat. I want to shout out Dad's Expensive Hobby, who had a great review of the Arena Sagat. And I also want to plug my own. I did a very in-depth review of the Storm Arena Sagat on my channel. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and go check that out. I will link that up here. So yeah, feel free to check that out if you're looking for a review of the Sagat. But that's all we've seen so far as early reviews from Storm. And of course, moving on to the Storm Arena releases for Q1 2026. The current pre-orders up on Big Bad Toy Store. We have Dan and Charlie. Both fun characters. I'm definitely more hyped for the Charlie. The previews we saw for the Charlie look phenomenal. His sculpt is just immaculate. Like, super, super good. The Charlie looks great. He has the removable glasses and all of that. The Dan, I'm a little less hyped for, but, you know, still will be a fun figure, and you can get your pre-orders in now for Big Bad Toy Store. And those are both scheduled to release this first quarter of 2026. But there is a little bit of a caveat, right? Because Sagat was also scheduled to release late 2025 and has been pushed back at least a couple weeks now. So depending on when first quarter they're planning to release that, I'm not even really comfortable saying that we will see these released in first quarter 2026. It might be sort of like the Jada stuff where that starts to creep maybe into late March, early April for the Big Bad Toy Store release. But of course, as you know, as I said earlier, you're going to be able to get these like at least a month before that from China if you're willing to pay the premium. So I guess that also puts Sagat as a Q1 2026 release. So for Storm Arena, we have those three figures expected to be in hand Q1 2026, as long as we don't see those pre-orders start to get pushed back some more. And of course, we have that brand new Player 2 Sagat. They pumped that out super fast. We don't even have the Player 1 here in hand yet through Big Bad Toy Store in the US, and they're already releasing the Player 2 over in Hong Kong, which again, if you want to pay the premium, you can get your hands on that and get it shipped to you before you even get your release from Big Bad Toy Store, which is pretty crazy. But that release is looking awesome. Love the effect piece. I think it's a really great offering from Storm Arena, and just, you know, nice to see them pump something out so fast. Like, they are really keeping their foot on the neck of Jada. They're really applying that pressure and not letting up. And while Jada has been sort of quiet leading up to these releases coming up, Storm has really been loud and putting stuff out like crazy, all these exclusives. And I imagine that we're probably even maybe going to see another exclusive before the end of Q1 2026, maybe early Q2. But Storm is doing some really great stuff as well. Oh, and I can't forget to mention the Akuma. I think I forgot to mention Akuma earlier. The Storm Arena Alpha Akuma has made vast improvements, in my opinion, from the first early prototype. They late last year released this new prototype preview, and it's looking really nice. And I imagine that we possibly could see a pre-order for that Akuma in Q1 of 2026, which again, just really pumping stuff out, really keeping their name out in front of collectors. So good on Storm, but awesome offerings from both companies. I hope you're all excited. Let me know which ones you plan on picking up. Which ones are must-haves, which ones are, I'll grab if I can find it. And let me know what you think about releases from overseas companies like Storm Arena. Do you count it as released when it's available in Hong Kong, or do you count it as fully released when it's available here in the US? Of course, this is geared toward US collectors. If you're in Hong Kong, I totally get that. This isn't relevant to you, but as a US collector, how do you feel about that? And let me know which ones you're picking up. I'm picking all of them up. I have them all pre-ordered. I'm probably going to even get some of the Hong Kong releases to get some of these figures early to bring you in-depth reviews here on the channel as soon as I can. So yeah, I'm hyped, guys. Like 2026 is going to be awesome. I think we're going to see tons of stuff from both Jada and Storm Arena. But that wraps up our review for Q1 of 2026. I hope this helped if you were curious as to what might be coming. And thanks again for watching, guys. Feel free to subscribe. I do lots of in-depth figure reviews for Street Fighter, fighting game action figures, other 1/12 action figures, Transformers, Blockies, all the fun toys I love to collect. You'll find it here on this channel. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.